The moon is 6 days old. For the last 6 days, the light of the sun has been gradually moving over the surface of the new moon. Now the moon hangs in the evening sky as a thick crescent. At low magnification through the 2-inch tube of the McLean telescope, we can see the flat area of the two seas, the Sea of Plenty and the Sea of Crises. It is thought that the seas were formed 4 billion years ago when the moon was quite young. Giant meteors hit the surface of the moon, producing gigantic craters which filled with lava. We can see craters caused by smaller meteorites and a mountain range known as the Pyrenees. We have now increased magnification and are looking at the south end of the moon. The surface is heavily cratered. The craters shown in relief by the low angle of the sun's light. These pictures were taken with the 4-inch tube of the McLean. We are now looking at craters to the south of the Pyrenees Mountains. These are typical impact craters, with their central mound shown in relief by the sun. The flat area of the Sea of Plenty is seen only disturbed by small craters. The view that we are seeing now is of the north end of the moon. Note how the light of the sun catches the mountain tops while their bases are still in shadow. The camera has been moved to the 10-inch tube, increasing the magnification still further. We can now see that the craters at the south end of the terminator have smaller craters within their boundaries. Sunlight is now striking the top of a giant crater named after the French astronomer Janssen. Contrasting with this mountainous region are the seas. Here we see the edge of the Sea of Crises. The surface is smooth, marked only with a few new craters and typical folds or rills formed as the moon cooled. Our last view of the 6-day moon is of the north end of the terminator. Again, we are in an area of craters. In particular, note the large crater called Gauss, named after one of the pioneers of the study of magnetism. Three days have passed. The moon is now 9 days old. It is said to be in its first quarter. Half of the moon's surface is now lit by the sun. The area that we were exploring on the 6-day moon is now bathed in sunlight, and all sharp detail has been lost. Looking towards the edge of the shadow or terminator, new features are visible. In the south is the giant crater Clavius, and above it the crater Tycho. In the center we can see Copernicus, to the south of which is the Sea of Clouds, where Apollo 12 and Apollo 14 landed. We've now stepped up our magnification, and we can see the 146-mile wide crater known as Clavius. We can see that smaller craters have formed within the rim of this giant crater. We're now crossing the Sea of Clouds and can see the crater Copernicus, formed a mere 900 million years ago. Stretching to the east is a mountain range called the Apennines. Our view is now of the northern end of the terminator, with the old crater Plato and the Jura Mountains. We have returned to the crater Clavius to show how the magnification increases as we move our camera from the 4-inch tube to the 10-inch. Now we can see every detail of this mighty crater, the terraced walls, as well as the many craters formed after Clavius itself was formed. Some of these new craters are as little as half a mile in diameter. The Sea of Clouds is in view, and as we move north across its surface we come to the crater Copernicus. It is 67 miles in diameter and was formed 900 million years ago, quite modern by moon standards. The sun is starting to light up the floor of the crater, but we must wait until later in the month before we can see details of the crater floor. We have moved east of Copernicus and can see the mighty mountain range of the Apennines, stretching for many hundreds of miles across the surface of the moon. At their highest, they are some 5 miles high. Our last view of the 9-day moon is of the north end of the terminator, where we see the old crater Plato and the Jura Mountains, nipped by the sun as it steadily moves over the surface of the moon.